Hi, Brady. Jeff here, and I want to talk about. I just saw a post on LinkedIn that I'm responding to about criticism when you speak with an accent in another language. And I want to give an anecdote about this. I want to tell a short story about my experience with this in a really funny situation where it was really embarrassing to the person who made the criticism. So I've lived in France. I obviously have a non-French accent here. I'm American, and I moved to France when I was 20, I think 3 years old, and I already had a bachelor's degree in French and had studied French for a number of years and spoke pretty well. And I had done a bachelor's degree in 1 year in French after my second one, so I'd spent an entire year really just intensely studying French and taking all day long in French in high level university courses. And I was writing and speaking French all day long for a year. So then I came to France. And I did my master's degree here in writing in French and a doctoral degree in writing in French on Creole languages, actually. And there's other videos about that. So I decided to take a study in French Creole languages. I'm home French Creole, just to simplify things. And I married a French girl, and even in the United States, when we moved there, we spoke in French together, and French was always the language of our home. Um, uh, and when we lived in the United States or when we moved back to France. Even when the children came along, I spoke in English to the children, but we always spoke in French at home. And I'm totally integrated in the French culture. I mean, all walks of life. I know everything. Probably the only thing I'm not really great at are like jokes on comic books because I didn't grow up with the comic books. My children have grown up with them, and I've learned about comic books with them. But those are there are little very minute areas where just I can't do a joke or something because I'm just not great in that specific area. But the rest is fine. All walks of life. And reading, writing doesn't matter. So after about 25 years or 20 years, that's it. 1989. So this happened in 2010. So I'm going to say 1990. That's after about 20 years of living in France, a little over 20 years, um, and having spoken French 99% of those 20 years. Even when I lived in America, I'd speak at home French all day at home. Even at work, I'd speak in French and Creole. Some of my colleagues, where every time I could speak French, I would speak French with my colleagues and all that. So, but even in the 4 years living in France, and I actually taught French in the United States too. So I mean, I was speaking French all the time, even at work. It's kind of dependent. But in 2010, during the moment where I helped Carnegie Mellon release the Haitian Creole French, the Haitian Creole language data, and we made it so that Microsoft. It was Microsoft and Google which released it first, and it was first in their apps. You got in there like too, but really was Microsoft and Google were the two with their name. And one day during that period of time, during that summer, I remember it was during the summer. It was right after that January, the event in January, the earthquake, and we did all that. And it's about the summer, and I was at some nonprofit association in France, in this, near home, and someone said, "Hey, there's a Haitian guy over there. You got to go talk to him in Creole." And I think these were probably some, friends that probably spoke some African language. They said that the person spoke Creole, would speak to him in Creole, in the Haitian Creole. So I never start trying to speak to him in Haitian Creole. Now, I will admit that I had not spoken in Creole, Haitian Creole, for a long time. During the 1990s, during the 1990s, when I was doing all my master's and doctoral work in St. Lucian Creole, I mean, I would be doing interviews in Creole. I actually ran the interviews in speaking in Creole to get people to, speak in Creole. And then now I'd actually do the reading, I'd actually transcribe it and everything. So, I mean, I can speak, fairly fluently. I mean, there's different levels of fluency. Okay, I've always been more fluent in French. That's clear. But and then when I went to Haiti in 2000 in 1998, I spent 10 days there and got around in Creole all the time. So and I even gave a seminar and spoke the first 10 minutes in Creole, but the rest in French because I was getting to the point where the terminology I was using, the vocabulary was so technical that I was inventing the Creole as I was talking. And so that's kind of pretty tough to do when we're not a fluent speaker at like C2 level. I'm not a C level probably in Creole. I wouldn't say what I'm in the kind of the different language and learning kind of paradigms and levels. That's fine, doesn't matter. But in 2010, I had not spoken probably in any of the Creole languages, whether it be Martinican or Guadeloupean or Haitian or St. Lucian or Dominican or or they spoke one of the Rianese speakers or Mauritius speakers or whatever. Had not spoken with them in probably 5 to 10 years at least. Maybe on and off a few on how you doing kind of thing, but your greetings and stuff, but not anything. Trying to speak fluently, and so I was rusty. I do admit that. In 2010, when we did this, put the data out and all that. Um, but this guy, this Haitian guy, I went to start speaking. It's in France, and I start speaking to him in Haitian Creole, and he responds to me in French. Okay, this is the first time this has ever happened to me. I mean, Creole speakers are like happy some white guy is actually interested in their language. I'll be honest. Um, it was kind of the first time this had ever happened to me. Um, People are kind of surprised more or less usually, and it had been the 20 years before speaking Creole and working in Creole language. It was the first time that no one really wanted to speak to me in their language when I was showing it. Um, and and then I did again. I tried again, and he looked at me, he spoke back to me in French again, and then he said in French, and I'm just going to say it and translate in here in English. What he said is that I don't speak to people that speak broken Creole. Okay. Got it. So what did I do? Rather than, I just pull up my phone. Okay, I just pull up it was a BlackBerry at the time. I got the iPhone right now, but I just pull up my phone. Okay, and I open up Google Translate, something that he knows. Microsoft Translators don't know him, but I just pulled up Google Translate. The box. You can see everybody knows this one. Okay, everybody knows this one. And so I pull up the phone and you look up Google Translate, and I look up Haitian Creole, okay, and then I show him my phone, and I said to him, did you know that Haitian Creole is actually in Google Translate? And he looks at it, he says, wow, who did that? You can see my face. I said, the guy in front of you that speaks broken Creole put it. Now you can imagine his face at that moment of time. He's just like, it was kind of like, a CD player, actually a record player that's got a scratch and it keeps going, it keeps playing the thing over again, or a CD with a scratch, and I've done a game or something, it keeps playing the scene over a DVD, the scratch keeps playing the scene over and over again. He was doing like this for about 10 seconds because he didn't know what to say. He was so embarrassed. And actually in French or actually in Creole, there's a word for it, it's called respect. And he spoke back to me Creole from that moment on. Um, but I had the statement to say at that moment in time, and I knew what to say. Uh, and so my answer to these questions about criticism for speaking language, and it's always true. There are lots of things. If someone can speak with if someone's willing to speak even in another language, they speak an accent, they're better than you if you don't speak another language at all. And I've taught languages for many years, taught for 8 years at least, and getting people to get to a level is not always easy. And I've gone through this many languages myself, learning languages and stuff, and going through it. I'm always just the person who will go to the next block. Every time I'm going down the road, I already know what to say, but I keep asking because I want to improve how to pronounce it, even if I know exactly where I'm going, because I just want to improve it. But I just want to give that anecdote to those of you that have been through this situation where people kind of frown and look at you and say things, and just find something to say that will do it. Now you won't be able to give that kind of anecdote because that just shamed him so bad that it just he couldn't. He was so embarrassed. It was like so. But I just thought that would be kind of a funny anecdote for this kind of response here, and find something that you can say back. If it won't be that kind of that cool to be able to say it, but just find something that you can say. And there are lots of little things you can find on the internet and whatever, but find something that works for you. But hope you enjoyed that one.